All right, welcome into hour two. Let's get it, boys. Let's talk a little draft, a little roster building. Emilio, we covered last night pretty extensively, and I think this morning too, right, Tim? We started to dive into center. Did we not? Am I thinking right?
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of scratched the surface on the draft and free agency.
Yep. So far we've talked D tackle and we've talked center, and then we scratched the surface on cornerbacks. Emilio, were you a part of that conversation with cornerback at all? I'm trying to remember.
I just talked about how much I like DJ Reed, but I think we were kind of just floating through the top free agent prospects last time.
Got it. All right. So what we're going to pick up here then is the cornerback prospects, if that's good with you guys.
Free agent?
So obviously, what's that?
Free agent or draft?
Draft. Yeah.
Okay.
Cornerback, yeah. Prospects, right? Did I say free agent? My bad. I may have said free agent there. We're going to recap the free agents real quick, like in case Emilio, you didn't catch it all. Mike Hilton, 31 years old, 75.9 PFF grade. Carlton Davis, 74.5. Byron Murphy, 73.4. DJ Reed, 70.7. And Asante Samuel, 59.3, albeit the year before, 73.9. And I think he dealt with a shoulder injury that you obviously going to have to monitor. Charvarius Ward last year, 56.2, but the previous year, 84.7. He's 29 years old. And then Rasul Douglas, we're all familiar with, 30 years old. His PFF grade was a 58.7. And last year in Buffalo, it was an 81.0. So have those two guys hit the wall, right? Of all of those, if I were to say we're going to bring in a free agent corner, Emilio, correct me if I'm wrong, you think DJ Reed's probably the better choice, right?
Yeah.
For me, Carlton Davis and Byron Murphy are interesting because Carlton Davis played in Detroit, and obviously Byron Murphy played in Minnesota. Another kind of piggyback off what we talked about earlier. You can strengthen your roster at a position if you can get somewhat of a deal on them, and you're basically weakening the other division opponent while also gathering a little intel on their defense too. There might be a little aspect of that as well, especially seeing that these are veterans. They're not just rookies, right? So, all right, so we got JJ in here talking. Everybody say bye to JJ. JJ Folkick. All right. Going once, going twice. Y'all ready? Then get ready to hit it for me. All right. I need to know. I need to hear the get out of here. All right. And DJ's gone. Hit him with it, Tim. I know you got it close by.
Sit your butt outside.
Right, take care, Bub. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. All right, let's look at the draft prospects at the cornerback position and start to dive into that information.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. What you got, man?
No, don't kick him out. He was distracting us from AFAM.
Should we bring him back?
Somebody shoot him a message. We'll remove him from the ban list. All right. Yeah, it's hilarious. All right, let's talk cornerbacks in this year's draft, okay? What we end up with, I'm basically charting the top 100 prospects, so the corners that fall in the top 100 prospects. So you're going to hear me say their rank. You're going to hear me say their PFF grade, okay? We've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It looks like about 13 prospects that fall in the top 100. Why are we doing this? When you color code this stuff, you start to see the chart really sticks out to you. It goes, okay, here's where you're heavy in the draft. Here's where you're light in the draft. Here's where you're heavy in free agency. Here's where you're light in free agency, right? Meaning how saturated is the market and where do you got to really be aggressive? Like last year we talked about, what was it? There was a position group that was very, very thin. I think it was center maybe. And we're like, yeah, probably not going to make a splash there because it's so thin. Safety was a little bit deep. And boy, oh boy, did we jump in it right away, right? And take Xavier McKinney, get the kind of the pick of the litter. But nonetheless, number one, Travis Hunter. These are their big board rankings, okay? Travis Hunter, Heisman winner, absolute dog at Colorado, 89.3 PFF grade. I don't think there's a snowball chance in hell that he's going to be available when the Packers pick at 23, right? So a lot of time there. Next, Will Johnson. He's ranked 6th overall out of Michigan, 6'2", 202. His PFF grade, 77.7. His best year, believe it or not, was 2022 at 88.2. But I want to mention that last year, 2024, he only played 279 snaps as opposed to 550 the year before. But his grade been pretty stable there. Next is my boy Benjamin Morrison.
Here's the
out of Notre Dame. Unfortunately, he got hurt this year, right? He was the one that was projected to be the top corner before he got hurt. He's 16th overall. on the PFF big board.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'190". He's only 20 years old. He'll be 21 probably when the draft hits, I would imagine. His PFF grade 71.4 this year. Like I said, only 314 snaps. However, in 2023, 79.4, and in 2022, a 77.3. Now you're getting in that range where these guys may be available for the Packers.
He's a 93 overall in Ultimate Team on college football too. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Here's the guy. No, that's not a guy, Tim. Don't you give that any merit whatsoever. None whatsoever. So here we got Jahdae. I think I'm saying that right. Jahdae Barron, cornerback. He's a senior out of Texas. He's ranked 27th. 5'11", 200 pounds.
90 grade? Wow.
He got a 90.8, second highest graded corner. Now, falling into the 27 rank, right? You go, what in the world? That size, they love that size, right? 5'11" as opposed to 6'2" that we've seen with some of these other guys, right? Now, the year before, 71.5, and then the year before that in 2022, 76.9. So you're looking at a floor of 71.5, a ceiling of 90.8. If he blows up the combine, he's going to skyrocket up draft boards. Emilio, can you tell us anything about him on college football?
No, actually I can't. But I did notice that he's got just shy of 1,000 snaps, so he's kind of pushing what Travis Hunter did. Even though Travis Hunter obviously played offense too, but I like that it was, consistently over 500 snaps. That's huge to see.
Yeah. I was trying to see
anybody on that Texas defense is welcome in Green Bay, in my opinion. Just dogs.
There you go. It is. It's loaded with dogs, no doubt about it. Up next, Trey Amos from Ole Miss, 29th ranked, 6'1", 190, 22 years old, will be 23 at the draft, 85.2 PFF grade, 76.9, and then 71.5. He's gotten better every single year. Very interesting. There's several prospects I noticed out of Ole Miss that I keep finding myself perking my ears up to, especially when you get to wide receiver. There's one particular prospect at wide receiver that I go, boy, if he falls as far as the big board would suggest he would, we know it doesn't mean anything right now. We'll talk about him when we get to the wide receiver room for sure. So Trey Amos and Ole Miss, 29th overall. 31st, Siobhan Revel.
Siobhan.
Is it Siobhan that he said?
That's what I thought.
All right, Dynamite drop him.
I'm pretty.
Who?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But yeah,
I love the correction for you to only say, I think so.
Season 3 token. He's an 88 overall Season 3 card, but you can put a token on him, get him 94. So he's pretty nice.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Do you think Jeff Hafley's got tokens in his office where he can tell? Yep, I'm gonna.
That would be kind of slick. Like, put it on the cornerback, the DBs and stuff like that. That would be nice. Honestly, like we needed help at the linebacker, throw a little token in there. I like it.
I swear, Amelia, crack me up, dude. So again, Siobhan, maybe Revel, 82.5, and then only 204 snaps. So obviously he had some kind of injury concern. The year before, though, 81.5, been pretty solid in terms.
Pretty sure he tore his ACL.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
So that's something he'll definitely be lit up in the red on our draft board, right? Just hey, here's a question. So yeah, there you go. Joseph said in the chat. Appreciate you, Joseph. It was an ACL.
Yeah.
Next in the 41st spot, you got Darian Porter. All right, 6'4", 200 pounds. Now he's drawing Social Security. He's 24 years old. Okay, and there's going to be Packer fans that say, nope, no way, I'm not drafting him. That stuff doesn't scare me away at all. PFF grade 79.3. Last year 69.7. Year before that 60. He only played 425 snaps. You go Clayton. PFF doesn't look great, right? He's older, and he didn't have a whole lot of snaps. Why is he so high on the list? That's
thick.
Exactly. Yeah. That's 6'4". I'm telling you right now, that's going to put him on a lot of people's radar, right? They fall in love with that big frame like that, especially at the cornerback position. 71, you got Zy Alexander, 6'2", 194, 83.5, 63.4, 79.9. So the fact that he had 2 years with more than 500 snaps and grading out right about around 80 or above 80, that's pretty damn impressive. So, and LSU, big big time program, although they've sucked this year for the most part in the SEC. I think they finished 6th in the SEC. I only know that because I dog them because Brian Kelly left Notre Dame because he said I wanted a real chance of winning a national title, and of course Notre Dame's in the national championship.
He actually doesn't look too bad on his numbers. Diving a little bit, he plays corner basically the whole time. But this past year, 53.2 passer rating.
Is that right? Holy cow! What about so no slot snaps at all?
33 this year, 6 the year before, 9 the year before that.
Okay, so he's outside. I mean, obviously 6'2".
500 in the corner, 341, 486. So I mean, he's pretty much there. And then his other 2 passer rating was a 94.5 and then an 80.1 of 2022.
I think we got an LSU fan in the house. Donovan Schilling said, "Hey, Clayton, that was unnecessary." So you see that little symbol next to Donovan Schilling, that means he's a YouTube member. That's going to disappear in a couple of days. I don't blame you one bit, sir. My apologies.
We'll be looking for Donovan, like, where you at?
Combing through the grass. So there you go, Zy Alexander. Like I said, big frame corner there. My boy Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, 6'1", 186. He's a junior. Only 297 snaps this year, obviously dealt with injuries, 67.3. The year before, 81.8. We were talking about how Kentucky's defense was supposed to be really dominant this year, and they just absolutely crapped the bed. Deion Walker has dropped down boards, and so has Maxwell Hairston here, obviously dealing with the injury. Do we have any information on his injury, exactly what it was? Anybody in the chat, if you know, Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky. Just put Maxwell and then list the injury in the chat if anybody has that info or if you find it, Emilio. 93rd, Mello Dotson, senior out of Kansas, 6'1", 190. He's a 77.7 this year, 78.5 last year, and then a 61.3 the year before. So he is stabilized pretty well here in the last couple of years.
Strictly outside, 692, 689, 727.
Got it. Outside corner. Got it. Hairston was a shoulder injury, man. Those shoulders, boy. Whew. Tell you.
At least that means he's throwing it, sticking it in there for something, trying to stop somebody.
Emilio said that's a good thing when they get
a come on now. We'll get him one of them. Just get him a roll collar or something.
Then we got. You want to take a shot at this name here, since you're the linguistic scholar.
Azarieh.
Huh?
Who? Azarieh Thomas.
There you go. Azarieh Thomas, 6'2", 198, junior out of Florida State, going to be 21 years old this coming year. So he's sitting at 20.6 years of age. PFF grade 75.3, 75, and 65.2 this year. Holding strong with a 75.3 with 755 snaps. Pretty darn impressive. So those are your top corners in the upcoming draft. We can scroll up, down, sideways, anything y'all want to see here. Tim, you have the floor. Any of these guys catch your attention? And you know, when you see their ranking, what do you think? Do you look to take one of these guys with the 23rd pick? When you look at the depth here within the top 100, are you better off waiting until the 2nd or 3rd round? You know what I'm saying?
I think it depends on, are we looking boundary or slot first when we're prioritizing corner? And I would think we're probably thinking, you know, slot first would be my gut reaction, you know, some depth behind Bullard. But the fact of, you know, Jair kind of being a question mark here, basically 1 foot out the door, do we go boundary sooner? So I think that's going to have some bearing on, you know, where you want to look first. But, you know, there's a couple, I haven't gotten deep enough into the dive to really recommend anybody that I've studied yet. That's kind of on my homework list for this weekend, but we'll see, man. There are a few I think we probably could double dip at corner in this draft if the board fell the right way, but I don't know about first round pick on a corner.
Tim, if you're asking for a slot out of these top 100s, honestly, it looks like Jahdae Barron would be the best.
I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah, our boy here, 2024, he had 124 in the slot, 679 outside. In 23, he had 389 in the slot, 43 outside, and 154 in the box. And then in 2022, he had 382 in the slot, 138 at corner, and 179 in the box. So he plays all over. I'd like to watch a little bit of his tape. I think he could be put a little star next to him.
Yeah,
5'11", 200 too, kind of, you know, built like a Bullard almost. Dog in the slot. Yeah, I like it.
Yep,
I'm
so
with you, Emilio. Let's watch some tape.
I'm
Put
gonna
a star next to his name. We might have found a slot.
I got you. All right. So
besides that, pretty much everybody else is an outside corner here. Like snaps are I mean, nobody else really is cracking over 50 in the slot. Maybe 25, 50 max.
Gotcha. And listen, we may need an outside corner if Ja's gone, right? So I know we have mentioned, hey, we need a slot. We need a slot because Bullard may be that dude. He plays better in the slot than safety, but it doesn't hurt having a second slot on the team where if you have an injury, you don't have to shuffle everything around, right? Got Jake in the chat. He says, Trey Amos, season boys. So, Emilio, click on Trey Amos, 85.2 out of Ole Miss. He's right below Jade Brown.
Aaron Sutherland, I just need to point it out. He has been saying Amos since like the beginning, and I thought he was trying to call Amos back into town. I thought he was trying to call our boy Amos that's already played for us, but no, okay, I got you, Eric. I see. Let's do a little dive.
Good stuff.
Pulling him up. Passer rating last year, 54.5. Year before, 77.3. Year before that, 79.4. Strictly an outside corner. 759 last year, or this 24, 305, 2023, and 505, 2022.
All right. Did you read off the where he actually lined up? Is it just predominantly outside at 6'1"?
Yeah. The 759 was this past year. 2 in the slot.
All right, so I'm going to put an O next to him, and I'm going to put an S next to Jade just to kind of give us an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Any other of those corners we talked about, Emilio, kind of grab your attention, man, before we move on to the next topic here?
Okay, not really. I do. The only other thing would be the Darian Porter, just size-wise. He's only his wait. Is that right? His passer rating, how many snaps did he have this year? His passer rating was a 4.7.
Was a what?
4.7.
Holy cow. So, I mean, you're talking about shutdown right now. He played at Iowa State, right? What kind of competition did they play?
344 snaps outside. And then the 2 years before that, he only had 101 and 141. So obviously he didn't play a lot. Looks like, a kind of a late bloomer or, late playing time growth. And hey, if he maybe slips, if that's one of the ones that kind of falls through the cracks and you pick him up later on, that's not a bad deal either.
Right. I like it. All right, cool. That's the cornerback position. Anything else, fellas, on the cornerbacks here that you want to hit on before we keep this train moving?
I think we keep the train moving. We got time.
All right. Anything you guys see in the chat market, we'll lock that up and kind of lean on the chat for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the free agent list for wide receivers according to PFF. Again, they don't have their entire free agent board or draft board created yet, but let's just kind of start to take a look at the wide receiver position since we got a little extra time here. All right.
This receiving is tough.
Yes, it is, Brett. So here are the top wide receivers. Let me actually get this filter cleaned up here real quick. Give me just a second. We were not prepared. All right, here we go. Wide receivers in this free agent class here that we got coming up. Obviously, T. Higgins is at the top. PFF grade 88.2 this year. Fifth highest graded receiver in the game according to PFF. It says Higgins rarely missed playing time over his first 3 seasons, but has unfortunately been bitten by the injury bug in back-to-back contract years. That said, when Higgins has suited up so far in 2024, he has consistently produced at a high level. The 4th-ranked player in PFF's free agency ranking last season, Higgins figures to be one of the most sought-after players on the market again in 2025. Listen, I'm talking about this because this is the name that everybody keeps talking about, right? It's like the buzz name this year in free agency when it comes to Packers fans wanting a number 1 receiver. Fred McFarley says, someone will overpay for Higgins. It won't be us. I hope that's the case. Okay, I do. And again, let's say Higgins, it's saying $28 million per on average, a 4-year deal. If we can do like we were talking about with Tay, if you can get Tay back here, if you can get Devontae Adams back here for a year or two at somewhere between 10 to 12 million per, I'd much rather have that than have T. Higgins at $28 million per, right?
Absolutely.
And one thing we noticed last year too, guys, is when you look at the projected contract, it seemed like the real contracts exceeded that more often than not. So that's probably a lower number, to be honest with you. So 2-0 for this, just like in 2020, T. Higgins isn't the difference maker for a ring. Completely agree, man. Completely agree. what is the difference maker? You guys have heard me. You're probably tired of hearing me say 3-tech, right? Like that's the thing that's in my mind. Like that's how you're going to take this team to the next level. You got to solidify your center position, and you've got to go get a 3-tech. You got to get a true 3-tech, and it doesn't mean that they're going to come in and just absolutely take over as a rookie, but you've got to continue to keep looking for that dude. Devontae Wyatt may blossom into that guy next year. I hope he does, right? Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this, we're going to learn a lot about how the Packers feel about Devontae Wyatt, whether or not that fifth-year option gets slapped on him. Yep. I hope it does not, me personally. I hope it does not.
But you do so that you can win the bet and get yourself 24 Krispy Kremes.
Exactly. If it doesn't get slapped on him, then, I'm getting 24 Krispy Kreme donuts delivered to my place of choice, right?
It would be my house, correct? All right.
We can do that, Tim. We can have that arranged. Tim's the only person who's contributed on the podcast that wants payment in form of donuts. I like it. That's my kind of dude right there. T. Higgins, let's go around the horn real quick. It's the talking point around town, right? Tim, I know your answer, but I need your take here for the listeners real quick.
No, that's my take. No,
all
thank
right.
you.
Yeah,
Nah, I'm good. I see him going, probably staying in the AFC. I don't know, New England, Buffalo, somewhere. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're going to make a move. I don't think we'd be willing to, pursue him as aggressively as he probably wants to be pursued. I'm assuming he's going to entertain probably somewhere in the realm of, 5 to 7 bids. I'm sure there'll be 5, 6, 7 teams looking at him and actively pursuing. I just don't see the Packers going over the top 30+ mil a year for T. Higgins. So we didn't.
Tim, we didn't do it for Tay, right? Why are we going to just pull the trigger on a free agent that's never been in this offense before, never seen the inside of the facility, all that stuff? It's just like I would much rather, bring in Tay or someone like that. But no, that's a hard pass for T. Higgins. I do like your take though. Maybe if the Bills don't make it to the Super Bowl or whatever, maybe they need that one extra step. Another weapon on the offense. I like that idea.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So on my cheat sheet that I created here, and we can scroll down and look at all these guys as we go. Here are the top choices in free agency for wide receiver. T. Higgins, 88.2. Chris Godwin, 86.3. He's 28 years old. Now, immediately you think the injury, right? It was a dislocated ankle. Does anybody have any information on whether or not he's going to be ready to go week 1? Because sometimes with ankles, correct me if I'm wrong, as long as that Achilles is intact, it seems like people come back from ankles fairly quick, given the nature of how that thing looked, right? Like think of Dak Prescott, right? When he hurt his ankle, it looked like that damn thing was going to fall off on the field, and he was back the next year, no problem, if you'll remember that, right? And I know the time in which the injury occurred of the season, which week, that plays a big role in it as well. If we can try to find some information, whether it's the chat or if you want to look it up, Emilio, and see what kind of time frame are we looking at for this injury for Chris Godwin? But again, Chris Godwin, guys, he's been a solid receiver, right?
Yeah.
Last year, 86.3, the 10th highest graded receiver. 2023 he was a 77.5 with 1,000 snaps. And in 2022, 953 with a 75.7. Injuries were not a concern the last 3 years up until the point that he demolished that ankle.
Right. Looks like Bowles said he will be undergoing surgery very soon and probably be out for the year. Bowles said in October. There is a chance, though, that if we make a late playoff run, he could be back.
Oh, okay. So See, I thought you meant next year. I was like, holy.
No. I'm sorry. Yeah. So he said this past year, in 2024, and said that there possibly is a chance if they made a late playoff run, he could be back.
Dude, left ankle dislocation, bro. I'm good. No thanks. That's a receiver. I mean, he's chopping down on routes. I don't feel great about that. He's going to be 29.
I don't like. I used to want my ankles stiff as a board. I taped them on, skin tape, and then spatted the cleats. Like I wanted those things not to basically move when I was playing. So as a receiver, like you said, I think you need that flexibility, mobility.
Okay. Yep. So you guys are both out on Chris Godwin. I understand that correctly? All right. Yeah. Got it. All right. Next is Stephon Diggs. Tim.
Hell no.
Tim, explain to the class why you feel like that about Stephon Diggs.
I can't say that on the air. I don't know how to say it without using colorful language. Yeah, not a fan.
There's just something about him that's weird.
We're already trying to get dudes with that type of vibe and attitude out of our locker room. I don't think we need to bring another one in.
Bingo. He definitely does.
And let's be honest, look at the grades and look at snap counts. Like, he is not the same dude he was 4 or 5 seasons ago.
Right.
Hard pass.
Hard pass.
God, I love it. We're all on the same page. Good stuff. Next, DeAndre Hopkins. You're talking about bringing in Tay potentially, who's 32 years old as well. Would D-Hop be one of those guys? The big thing with D-Hop is his catch radius, right? Amazing catch radius, at least he has in the past. I haven't done a deep dive on what he's done this year, but PFF grades over the years starting in 2022, 72.9, 81.0, 78.6. He's obviously made a difference in Kansas City as they're one of the hottest teams in the league once again this year. It's saying that he's going to warrant a 2-year, $13.4 million average contract. That's what I was saying about Tay is like, I feel like him because Devontae Adams, his PFF grade was somewhere between 75 and 80, right? So in the same ballpark, that's probably about the projection you'll get with Tay. And who knows, if you give him a little more guaranteed money, less overall contract, he may sign with Green Bay somewhere between 10 to 13 million. That would be awesome. But what do you guys think about D-Hop here, man?
I mean, not a bad backup option if you are trying to get something done with Tay and you can't get a trade done. So maybe you're looking to add veteran receiver. I like his game. I've always liked DeAndre Hopkins' game. I don't know how he would fit in here in Green Bay. I'm not sure what type of vibe he's going to bring. I'm not saying he's Stephon Diggs, but I just don't know. He doesn't strike me as that it's super, super awesome teammate type of dude, but he's a hell of a receiver. And like you said, you can't deny the catching ability. And on a team that's had drop issues, it'd be unfair to just overlook them. But again, Goody DiCaprio, this guy's 32. I don't know. I think, other than Tay, yeah, maybe a guy like DeAndre Hopkins would be on the radar, but that would probably be it for 30-plus-year-old receivers, I think, that we'd be willing to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at Amari, Stephon, and DeAndre would be the over 30, and Keenan Allen would be the over 30 crowd. And really, like you said, Tim, I think we're going to kind of stay away from all of them besides Tay. If you're going to bring in someone that late, it's either you're right there, but why are we going to have him go through and have to learn the whole new offense and all that? So I like it.
No. All right. Like United Base says, he hasn't had the best availability either in recent years. I know someone else said he doesn't practice. I'm trying to remember who said that in here. There you go. Fred McFarley, D-Hop doesn't practice. Just doesn't feel like it'd be a fit for sure. And again, we're just
going knee still, right? Still kind of questionable with his knee.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it one bit. I mean, you get upwards of 30, man. You're always going to have a knee, right? That's just so rare that a receiver. And the thing is, D-Hop has never been this overly athletic dude. His big thing
just super, super sticky hands. I mean, exactly. Super sticky.
Yeah.
My knee.
Next on the list is Marquise Hollywood Brown. He's 27 years old. He's the youngest in this little cluster right here that we're on. 76.5 PFF grade, but only 45 snaps as he got hurt this year. It says Brown was expected to be a marquee addition, no pun intended, right, to a Chiefs receiving core in need of playmakers, but instead missed almost the entire season with a shoulder injury. But there's no better time to prove your value than during a chase for the number 1 seed over the final month of the regular season and through the playoffs. Brown posted a PFF receiving grade between 68.1 and 68.7 in each of the past 3 years, giving teams an indication of what he brings to the table. So again, not a crazy high PFF grade. Correct me if I'm wrong, guy. Wasn't there a little drama with him too? Or am I remembering that right? Because I think he's related to Antonio Brown, one of our favorite followers on Twitter. If you guys are not following Antonio Brown, my God.
Yeah.
That dude, he is out there for sure. But Marquise Hollywood Brown here, man, what do you guys think about that? They're saying 2 years, $9 million per. I think it's a no for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a meh, leaning towards a no for sure for me. Nothing really exciting here.
I feel like he has that kind of explosiveness, but I think that we have explosiveness in our wide receiver core. I don't think that's exactly what we are looking for to bring in. Though I guess I wouldn't be completely opposed to it. Age-wise, production-wise, cost-wise, that's not terrible.
Yeah. We got Marquell Randall with the super chat. Thank you so much, bud. Appreciate you. He says, off topic, would like for the Packers to steal Eagles O-line coach Jeff Stoutland with a promotion. Most Pro Bowls by all position coaches in the league. Look at that. Where would, obviously
that totally deserves one of those.
Here's the guy.
Yeah. I mean, that is a great pool, Marquell. Thank you for pointing that out, man. Now the question becomes, if he's the O-line coach, he would have to be an OC for us, right?
For sure.
So that might be thinking outside of the box like we talked about. If for some reason Adam Stenavich does get a head coaching job somewhere, I don't foresee it, but if it happened, those are the type of guys we're talking about, right? Bring that dude in who's just like, okay. Now, does his system fit what we're trying to do? I don't know. Jalen Hurts, it's more of a six-back offense, right? That RPR look. And obviously Kellen Moore came in and adjusted to the six-back offense as the OC. So, maybe he's versatile enough to be an OC. I don't know. I think it's a long shot, Marquell, just because of where he's sitting at as an O-line coach and the fact that I don't think Adam Stenavich is going to be highly recruited as a head coach. I could see Steno being one of those guys that I think he's a great offensive coordinator. I'm amazed at how many Packer fans don't like him. I'm like, this dude, he stepped right into having one of the best offensive lines, like coaching one of the best offensive lines as offensive line coach, and then went right into OC. You got another top 10 offense. Like, we know Matt LaFleur runs the offense. That's evident, right? But I don't think there's anything there with Steno that suggests that he's a bad coach. I just don't think he's head coaching material. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, I agree. And I think Marquell with a good pull, like you said, Clay, because, we always say, get this guy out of here. We don't like this person, but nobody ever has a name that they can bring to the table as an example of who they'd like to bring in. So here's Marquell doing good work here, giving us a name for our hot list and at least someone to keep an eye on, considering, most Pro Bowls by all position coaches, someone clearly looking for a promotion. We'll see how things pan out. It's good to have options and at least know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Emilio, anything to add to that super chat, man? Anything at all?
No, man, I think it's a great idea. And that's kind of the stuff we're going to need, like Tim was saying, and you were saying, we just got to have, have other options. You have to have backup plans. Obviously, I'm sure Matt and Goody have a couple backup plans, like if that Steno thing does go through or anything like that. So maybe get a couple, the Lions, O-line, all that sort of stuff. You want to look around who as well. I'd even wouldn't be opposed to the Ravens. It'd be a different take, different sort of idea, but those sort of teams that are able to churn it and move the ball down the field.
Yep, got it. 2-0 for this. We wouldn't have the Kraft sneak without Steno. I believe that. I believe that with everything in me.
You know how they came up with that play, right?
Huh. Well, Kraft didn't.
It had to be the day they pulled up in this thing over at Focus.
I love it.
He said, "Coach, I can do it." And Matt's like, "All right, show me."
Yeah, that's Matt yelling, "Steno! We're sending Tuck under center."
Oh man, when they ran that the other day and they got 6 or 8 yards on a QB sneak with Tucker Kraft, all I did was
ran it twice on them.
Yeah, I just tweeted it out on that 8-yard or 6-yard one, whatever it ended up being measured at. I tweeted it out and put forklift certified. That's all.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a cool play, man. And they said that Tucker went to the coaching staff. It was his idea when they first ran it way back in the season, early in the season. He said, "Hey, man, I play quarterback. I can do that. I can take that snap." I love it, man. Absolutely love it. So other receivers just to kind of mention here, Darius Slayton, 28 years old, 59 PFF grade. Keenan Allen from Chicago. To me, boys, he looked like he hit the wall this year. He looks so slow to me. And again, previous PFF grades, 84.4, 86.3. This year he dropped all the way to 64.4. He's 32 years old. And that's pretty much all that's in the top 50 in terms of wide receivers, according to PFF free agent list. If you want to go check that out yourself, that's the site that we were on right there. So let's go to the chat. We'll wrap up in here. 2-0 for this says all kicker mock draft tonight, boys. There you go. Let's do it. I'm just so glad McManus is our kicker, and I pray to sweet baby Jesus they bring him back, man. That's something that's just out of sight, out of mind if they bring back McManus. And I don't know if they will. I really don't, man. You got Alex Hill, right, Tim? We talked about him. He's been on the practice squad. They obviously seen something there to kind of set him as the international player. That's international designated player, I believe. But man, I think if you let McManus walk, I think we're going to look back next year and go, crap, we're right back in the same shape we were in.
Yeah, I agree. I would try and keep him around at least one more year, see if Hale's on the right path, and then giving us a chance to go on a run here. Because clearly, I've said it before, I'll say it again, you don't appreciate your kicker until you don't have one. We've talked about that before. We learned that lesson the hard way this year. We sat through a season of Anders Carlson last year. I really thought they were committed to him, and they were committed to Anders, and it turned out, boy, were we wrong. So I think if you've got a sure thing, which you do with McManus, I think you pay that man and you keep him in Green Bay as long as you can.
They don't have a market value for Brandon McManus or any of these kickers. The kickers that are becoming available, though, Nick Folk in Tennessee was the only person that had a higher field goal percentage than Brandon McManus this year. He's 40 years old, though. Brandon McManus is 33. His average annual value was $3.7 million. Matt Prater with Arizona, $3.7 million. Then it drops down to Eddie Pinheiro, $2 million flat. Michael Badgley, $1.2 million. Joey Sly, $1.2 million, and Brandon McManus, $1.2 million. So it honestly looks like somewhere in the $3 million range if you want to just keep him from hitting free agency. I think it's money well spent. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. I mean, we can't be mad just because he missed one of the last kicks of the year. Money was absolutely money from anywhere earlier in the season,
For sure.
What should have been that game winner against Chicago, I still think about that kick and just the way he kicked. I mean, he played it perfect. He wasn't worried about it looking pretty. He just, let's put this damn thing on a line. We know where the draw is.
Yep.
Just slice that thing right in and go ahead and handle it. And the fact that he went to LaFleur and said, hey, I can hit that. Put me in there.
Yeah.
He walked over with a cigarette, Amelia. You know what I'm talking about. He said, I'll get some bloody bits out of it.
He said he's wiry. Yeah, coach, I'm wiry. I can hit that. Okay.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, go watch The Replacements.
You just hold the ball, Shane, and I'll kick the bloody piss out of it.
All right, so there's your kicker talk. Joseph in the chat says, if we let McManus walk, we deserve whatever pain comes from that.
That's facts.
I am 100% on board with Joseph. If you let him walk and you end up kicking troubles next year, I'm not even going to be mad. I'm just going to be like, hey, we deserve to lose 12 games.
Yep.
I'm being serious. Like, it's just, that is pathetic if you let that happen again. So let's go to the chat here from earlier. Holmes MD1 says, Devontae Adams over T. Higgins in our system. The guy played here forever. The conversation is silly. Configure a 2-year – excuse me, man, I get all emotional. Configure a 2-year flyer deal and have him develop the young guys. He can still ball. I'm on board with that. I'd rather have Devontae Adams than T. Higgins. That's me personally. And you know what kind of locker room guy you're getting, right? I think and the fact that Xavier McKinney, is reaching out to him too tells you that when the leaders in the locker room are going, hey, let's go get this guy, that says a lot, right? Anybody else in that locker room, are they going to look at the only All-Pro on the team this year and go, I don't know if I want him in here, right? Xavier McKinney's going to go, hey, until y'all start balling out at my level, sit down, shut the hell up. Let's get some more talent in here, right? Yep. I like that. So not that anybody would be opposed to it. I think everybody in Green Bay will be all for it, to be honest with you. So, all right, and then the last one here, number one Packer fan. We need vets, but not World War II vets. Not a military joke. It's an age joke. Please don't be offended, LOL. So, no, yeah, that's the thing, man. You're getting into some of these receivers, and that's what we've really recognized tonight when it comes to the free agent class at receiver. Outside of T. Higgins and Chris Godwin, who were a little concerned about the ankle, I mean, you're talking about 31-year-old Stephon Diggs, 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, 30-year-old Amari Cooper, and 27-year-old Marquise Hollywood Brown, which we know Marquise Hollywood Brown is kind of a little bit of a head case himself. So there you go. All right. What we'll do in the morning, Tim, for Good Morning Lambeau, we will dive into the receiver prospects and kind of talk about, hey, here's the top receiving prospects going into the draft. I'm going to work on tonight the guards and explain what I mean by that. We were kind of talking offline, me and Tim were earlier. I'm going to get your take on this, Emilio. We looked at the center position. Were you a part of that conversation at all, Emilio, the centers?
Don't believe so. But.
Okay. Here's what we got. Drew Dowman, center from Atlanta, is set to be a free agent, 78.8. He's 26 years old. All right. That's
right. We pulled up one. He was like the one guy, right, from Atlanta. Yeah. He can run block, but he can't quite pass block yet.
Yeah, 78.8 was his overall PFF grade in Atlanta. All right, so he's kind of, in my opinion, he's the dude that if you were to say, let's go sign a free agent center, that's the only one on the list that really grabs my attention, other than Tristan Colon Castillo, 71.0 out of Arizona. He's a guard, but he's listed on the center list, which tells me he's got some history playing center. So keep that one in mind. The others were Ryan Kelly, 31 years old, 67. Coleman Shelton, sounds like a country singer, 29 years old, 66.4. And then another guard, Brock Huffman, at 66.3. Here's what's crazy. 0 centers in the top 100 of NFL draft prospects. 0.
Yep.
Now, last year, you've seen them. They were everywhere, right? We have multiple on our
Frazier, Powers Johnson.
Yeah, here's some names right here. Powers Johnson, Zach Frazier, Christian Haynes, Cooper Beebe, Cedric Von Prawn, Bo Lemur, Zach Zinter, all these guys pretty much falling in the top 100, right? So this year you don't have that. So what's that tell you? Probably going to have to move someone from guard or another position, or give Jacob Monk a legitimate shot to win center, or go out and get Drew Dalman. The fact that center is so thin in the draft this year really makes me think that that's going to increase the price of these free agents at center in free agency, if that makes sense. It's kind of what it looks like on the surface. So the reason I'm going to dip into guard is because if you do move Elton Jenkins to center, if that's the play that Rob Domofsky was talking about, he didn't specifically mention that. He just said the team said their center of the future is already in the building. If they're talking about Elton, or they're talking about Sean Ryan, or they're talking about Jake Monk, we've seen what happened in the Eagles game. You better get another guard in here, right? So I'm going to go through tomorrow morning and kind of deep dive the guards, both free agency and the draft, and kind of see if there's anything there, if that makes sense. So Drew D in the Super Chat, appreciate you, buddy. I don't think we should overlook Slayton. If he had better quarterbacks, then he would have a better PFF grade. He could be a 1,000-yard receiver with us. Talking about, who was that, Darius Slayton? Is that who it was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, saying, I'm sure he did help out Daniel Jones. That's why Daniel Jones is now the backup.
That's a good point. His PFF grades since 2022, all right, keep in mind he's 28 years old, 66, 67.5, 59.0. And what Drew's talking about is he's had booty cheeks at quarterback, right? So
right.
It says shaky quarterback and offensive line play have arguably limited Slayton's production during his time with the Giants, which is unfortunate for a player who is a threat to break off an explosive play at any moment. The former fifth-round steal nonetheless had 4 seasons of at least 700 receiving yards on 15 yards per reception over his first 5 years in the league, which is harder to do when the quarterback has little time to wait for longer developing routes downfield. Slayton is also the Giants' 2024 Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, showing he'd be an asset to any locker room. So kind of a good locker room guy. They're projecting him at 3 years, $12.5 million per. Me personally, I don't want him for $12.5 million, but I think Drew makes a great point here. Go ahead, Amelia. You were going to say something, I think.
No, I think I price wise, no, but I like Drew's take here, and that's what I'm saying. Like he's just had Daniel Jones. Let's get him a quarterback that can spin the rock, and we can go from there. But then it's just that my only thing is, if you bring in a young gun, is it going to crowd the room? Is it going to be a progress stopper? Where are we going to be on that sort of thing? That's where it's like, if you bring in a veteran, kind of knows his position, ease into it. He's maybe taking a couple of those veteran rest days during the year, and beforehand, let the the younger guys keep getting those extra reps. Would be my only other thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I agree. I agree with what Emilio said there for sure. I mean, the money doesn't look right. Everything else does, though, I think. Drew's got a good point there, and clearly Slayton seems like a dude that's kind of would fit in here the Packer way. He would fit the mold in that locker room. We talk about the on the field stuff too, but we know that there's I don't want to say issues, but we've got to solidify that leadership going forward. Yep.
And you'll notice that the 2 free agent signings we made last year that we really made the splash with, both of them team captains coming in. Yeah. Right? So
the C on their chests, just do it.
From a deployment standpoint, the reason I kind of go no to Darius Slayton, whose spot's he going to take on the field?
Yeah.
Right. Christian Watson's going to be out. We know that for a significant amount of time next year, right? Would you take – let me just do this rapid fire and we'll wrap up. Would you take Romeo Doubs off the field for Darius Slay?
No.
Same.
Negative.
Okay. Would you take Jaden Reed off the field for Darius Slay?
No.
Negative.
No. Same. Would you take Dontavion Wicks off the field for Darius Slay?
Still a negative, I think.
No.
I think it's close, but for me, it's still a negative. So what you're doing is you're going to pay someone $12 million per, if that's what the contract is. And Drew may look at it like, hey, look to get a deal on him, right?
Right.
No harm, no foul. But yeah, I just now you're going to have injuries, and we know that Tay Wicks played a lot of snaps last year, even though he was the number 4 receiver. But for $12 million per, you're putting that dude on the field every snap, right? Or trying to at least. So that's my only issue.
That's where I'm like, even if you're paying Tay 10, he knows that he's not getting every snap. He doesn't need to be that every down receiver. He can be choice receiver, know those kind of routes you need it on third down look or something like that.
Definitely. And that's really what it comes down to. If you can get Tay on that $10 to $15 million deal, Davante Adams, now the comparison becomes, who do you want? Now, let's do that again. If Davante Adams is on the field or on the Packers, do you feel comfortable taking Romeo Doubs off for him? I do.
Right.
What about Jaden Reed? Although Tay's probably not going to predominantly play slot, right? That's probably the one that I want them both on the field together, right? Dontavion Wicks, it ain't even close. And the thought of Dontavion Wicks, who we talk about as kind of this young Davante Adams-looking top receiver from an archetype standpoint, him being able to study under Tay for a year or two,
right.
Sign me up, man. Sign me up. Hey, fam, in the chat, I go to work hurt every day. Do you see my performance declining? Boz comes back and says, hey, fam, you work at Lady Foot Locker. Relax. Too old for this. A-Fam is a mustache model. Every time I see A-Fam, I think of Super Troopers. And some of y'all got that. I probably shouldn't say the next time.
Shenanigans? You talking about shenanigans?
I was talking about, I want mustache ride. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're out of here. This show sucks. Thank you to Marquell Randall for the super chat. Appreciate you. Drew D, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I know you're chomping at the bit this draft season, man. I'm excited about it. So everybody have a wonderful evening. We'll see you in the morning for Good Morning Lambeau. Bye.
And we go. We're out.
Bye, guys.